Hi, I'm Sarah DeCiccio. I'm the founder of Finding Your Well Spot. I'm a certified holistic health coach, and I'm also partnered with USANA Health Sciences. And today my daughter Brielle is here, willing to help us out. She's not too happy right now, so we'll see how today goes. So I was asked for a recipe of my banana chocolate chip muffins, and I want to show you how easy it is. And the reason I wanted to do another video on cooking or baking again is because a lot of my recipes don't even come from gluten-free baking type cookbooks always. Sometimes they come from regular recipes that I have, maybe from my grandmother, from my mother, or some friends, and then I just make some substitutions. So for example, if something calls for butter, you can always switch that out for ghee or coconut oil if it works that way. If something is calling for flour, like regular flour, I always replace it with a gluten-free flour, or you can do an almond flour. So it depends. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but for the most part, most of the time it will work out. If it calls for a dairy product like milk of some sort, I always use a nut milk. So for my case, we do a lot of coconut milk because my kids don't do well with almond and cashew milk right now. So coconut milk is our go-to thing at the moment. And then what else do we replace sometimes? Oh, eggs. Eggs. My whole family cannot tolerate eggs. So to replace eggs, it doesn't work in all cases because some baking just needs eggs, but most baking you can get away with it. So I don't like to use the replacers as much, the egg replacements, because sometimes they do contain gluten, and if you have a gluten intolerance or sensitivity or allergy, that may not be the best bet for you. So we like to use chia seeds or flax seeds. So depending on what I'm doing, so for I don't know, I go back and forth, whatever I have on hand. For a lot of baking, I do like to use flax seeds, so just make sure they're ground up, and then you can make an egg type mixture with that. So with our flax seeds today, I needed 4 eggs because I'm doubling the recipe, so I took 4 tablespoons of flax seeds, and then you take boiling water, and it's 3 tablespoons of boiling water to 1 tablespoon of flax seeds, which would equal 1 egg. So that's how you would replace that. And then you just throw it in where it says in the baking, and that will be your egg replacement. You could also use applesauce as an egg replacement as well. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can use to replace eggs, and you'd be surprised. And it does not change the flavor of the baking as much as you would think it would. Same with gluten-free baking. This banana chip muffin that we're making today are loaves. It tastes exactly, in my opinion, like normal banana chip muffins, but we're not using processed sugar. So today we're using maple syrup instead. So if it does call for sugar, you could always use sugar replacements. So maple syrup, real maple syrup, honey, unpasteurized raw honey is also another good one that you can use. You can use stevia if you want. If you tolerate xylitol, you could try xylitol. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can use, so you don't have to use processed sugar. But do keep in mind, sugar is sugar. So you want to make sure you're not using a whole ton of it still, because it's still a sweetener and it still affects the body. But definitely your best choice is to use natural sugars. Stay away from processed sugars, and especially stay away from artificial sweeteners like Splenda, aspartame, all that kind of stuff you need to stay away from because that is very detrimental to your body. So best bet, if you want a sweetener, use fruit or use a natural sweetener of some sort. So we already got our dry ingredients together. So if you're a part of my tribe and you're part of my email list, you will get my mixture of what I use for a gluten-free flour. I like to mix mine up a little bit with brown rice, white rice, tapioca, and potato starch. That's what I like to use as my mixture. And then, but you can use whatever gluten-free flour mixture you want. I don't have guar gum in mine. I add it in if I need it. So guar gum will help it stick together a little bit better. I don't like baking, so anything that I can make in a blender, I'm almost guaranteed to make it. So I had a whole bunch of frozen bananas like in my freezer that I needed to use, as you can see, that disgusting mess. So I just put it all in a blender. We have coconut milk in here. We have maple syrup as our sweetener. We put a little baking soda and baking powder and cinnamon in our dry mixture. We're gonna add in the flax eggs. We have coconut oil instead of butter because we don't tolerate dairy. And then we added a bit of sea salt as well. We're just gonna blend that up in a blender. Oh, and there's some vanilla, some organic, good vanilla from Mexico in there. We're gonna blend it up. All right. All right. So I'm telling you, the best investment you can actually make is in a good blender. That's all I wanted for Christmas this year, and my husband actually caved and bought it for me. So woo! I'm a huge Vitamix lover now. I thought, I don't need an expensive blender, but honestly, it is the best thing ever. So I have it all blended. I'm honestly just gonna add it to my dry ingredients here. Did you want to stir, Brielle? So my husband cannot tolerate chocolate, which is super unfortunate for him because chocolate's the best thing ever. So in half of his big mixture, I'm gonna add in pecans, so it's a banana nut for him. And then for my kids, we're gonna do the dairy-free chocolate chips that you can get. You can get the Enjoy Life ones. They taste just the same, don't they? They're just as good, don't you think? Yeah, she loves them. So that's what I'm adding for them. And because my oven is still broken now, going on the 4th week, we're using an electric roaster. So if that ever happens to you, you can actually bake in an electric roaster and it works. Actually, my baking's been turning out better. It just takes a little bit longer because less room, of course. But it has been working out, so you can do it that way. So once you have it, like we're making little loaves. So once you have it in there, it takes about a half an hour to bake in them, or even if you're doing muffin tins as well. And when it comes out clean with a toothpick, just like normal baking, then you know it's done. So it's a pretty simple recipe. So if you have recipes on hand that you absolutely love, but you're trying to make some dietary changes, so for example, the dairy, the sugar and things, the flour and things, you can try replacing it with, like I said, the gluten-free flours, the coconut oil, the ghee if you want to try that, some natural sweeteners, and you'd be surprised on how well some of them actually turn out. So you might have to do a little bit of tweaking in some areas, but for the most part, it's pretty easy. So again, if you'd like more recipes and tips and tricks, make sure you sign up for my emails as well. You can check out all these videos out on my website at www.findingyourwellspot.com. You can follow me on YouTube at Finding Your Well Spot, on Facebook, Sarah DeCiccio, Finding Your Well Spot, and on Instagram, Finding Your Well Spot. Now she's more chipper. So thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week. And if you have any topics you want me to talk about or to cover, you can always put them in the comments below. Message me. I would love to hear from you because sometimes I'm not sure what people are wanting. So if you have something in mind, definitely let me know. So say bye. We'll talk to you next week.